What's up folks, my name is Sir Medieval and today we'll be going into even more MMO news that has accumulated over the month of August. There seems to be a lot that's been announced and now all that's needed is to wait for actual game testing phases or releases. Also, since there's about 11 topics in this video, we'll be going a little bit faster with this one. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Kicking it off with some crowdfunded news, Ashes of Creation is said to be bringing back their battle royale named Apocalypse on August 20th for 12 hours and not just on their regular website. The playtest will also be open to all registered users through solo and squad gameplay modes in the server regions of North America, Europe, and Singapore and Asia. On top of this, they will also be releasing the battle royale on Steam to be available for download, with the Steam page launching tomorrow on Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific time to give players ample time to prepare. Overall, this is going to be a very interesting experience, especially if they allow reviews on the store page. The game itself will be under a massive microscope on Steam, and although I'm not as excited to try out the Battle Royale as I would be the Horde or Castle Siege modes, we'll have to see where this goes. Next up, we've also got some news coming in from Camelot Unchained. Recently, they had their Beta 2 testing phase, which allowed even more people to join up in the testing phases in general. During these tests, the players were able to hop into the Unchained server called Hawking. The team for Camelot has been pumping out testing phases like crazy, and it's great to see how much progress is being made on the game. Speaking of which, they also gave a little bit of insight into what they're working on, starting off with their top 10 list of weekly projects including NPC behavior, visual debugging tools, logging tools, physics, the servers themselves of course, some artwork and music, and more. Be sure to check out their developer live streams if you're ever interested in learning more about Camelot Unchained and the process they're going through to create it. They typically announce them on the Camelot Discord and always have VOD saved on their Twitch channel for them. I'll leave a link in the description below just in case you need it. Chronicles of Elyria has also released some news about its progress. Starting it off with their first article released earlier this month that showcases some of their, God I know I'm gonna butcher this name again, their Touresque village design. Here we can see the look of the houses and buildings in their current Unreal 4 pre-Elyria client, and as you can see the rooftops of the buildings look very sleek. I'm personally really loving how good it looks to me. As they show more, we get to see the village from different angles, including what might be considered the marketplace area, and even a look at the interiors. If this is what we can expect to see in the game, then I would be completely satisfied with it graphically until they update it to the high fidelity client that we saw originally. They also gave us a little bit more insight into the development process and some of their inspiration behind the game. They talk about similar scenarios like Mark Cerny discussing his approach to making games over 17 years ago, and even how the inventor of Mario creates games. In this thread, certain topics are discussed like their crafting system and how they originally wanted to design it with mini games, but found that both that and other aspects that they had originally planned didn't fit with the many other mechanics within Chronicles of Elyria that are more grounded and realistic. It's good to talk about these kind of things with the community to add on to the transparency overall, so I'm glad they took the time to talk about this. I'll leave a link in the description below for those of you that are interested in checking it out. For some quick Crowfall news, they also released a new video titled Fortunes of War, going into a few of their new update features that they've implemented, including the embargo system and magic loot. The embargo window allows you to easily transfer your items to and from campaigns, giving you easy access to your gear via this vault. They also go into more detail about the magic loot and other aspects of the game in their August Q&A released earlier this month. Be sure to check it out. And oh, there's also an event going on from now until September 17th that allows you to get a special Tankard of Dawn. If you play on their testing server for a total of up to about 4 hours, be sure to sign up on the website if you're interested. Even if it means logging in and chatting or sitting there for 4 hours, you'd miss out on some good fun, but it's a free golden tankard for you to enjoy. On the topic of Oath and Ember Sword, from Oath it seems like things are going pretty smooth for development over there. We haven't received anything like a news or blog post for it, but they did give us a look at the recently created beach area with some of their new assets. On Ember Sword's side, they have decided to showcase their new reveal of a brand new main playable character. These are both two MMOs that I'm definitely looking forward to playing and covering in the near future, so be sure to stay tuned for those two. For the next news, we've got a brief announcement for two newly upcoming MMOs that have shaken the foundations of crowdfunding. The first being Zenith, an upcoming JRPG based MMO in virtual reality. I ended up backing this one before it went live on Kickstarter, but just in the short amount of time that it did, it ended up going over 300% of their funding goal and counting. It's a cross-platforming game that supports Oculus Quest and all of PC VR. It'll consist of features such as fighting, crafting, exploring, forging parties and guilds, epic raids, world events, and more. Even if you don't own a VR headset, the cool thing about it is that you'll actually be able to play on your desktop too. From the footage we've seen, it definitely seems to build on the aspect of VR MMOs that we've seen and takes it a step further to integrate even more possibilities and features. I do believe that VR massively multiplayer games could end up being the way of the future depending on how the technology expands, and also if the genre doesn't end up getting the love it needs on the PC side. But hopefully, both of those parts may be able to live in harmony together. Coming from the development studio named Clang Games, we've also got a brand new announcement of a funded game called Seed, which is an artificial intelligence driven space colonization MMO that's raised over $22.33 million in funding so far, which for a crowdfunding MMO is already a crap ton. Novator Partners, which is a global technology and healthcare investment brand, has decided to lead the funding. LEGO Ventures, the investment entity of the LEGO brand, has also joined the current investors in the round. Now, I've personally never seen LEGOs jumping in on the MMO scene, but it sounds like they've got a lot of faith in what they've seen thus far. The online game itself will use the improbable Spatial OS platform, which since the break from Unity has now been associated mainly with the Unreal Engine. So if we don't see the game itself on Unity, we can assume that it will probably be on Unreal 4 or a custom engine of its own. Either way, be sure to check that one out. And for final news, we've got 3 different topics. First one being a newly announced open world MMORPG survival game with naval mechanics called Past Fate. The world of this game features a large landmass to explore, the ability to hire mercenaries and soldiers to conquer enemy lands, and also kingdom defense and the ability to conquer the seas and more. Right now we don't have much information on a testing phase other than we can hopefully expect news on it within the next few months, but we do have some pre-alpha footage to view. We also have some concept art of the first completed dungeon, which seems to look fairly open, so hopefully we'll get some more information in the way that works in the future. Be sure to stay tuned for when the alpha opens up. As you folks may already know, Pearl Abyss is the developer of Black Desert. In the past few years, it's a game that's earned credit where credit is due, on how amazing the combat system and graphically the game is. But of course, it does have its big shortcomings in other areas. The main reason I can never really step back into the game again is mainly due to its enhancement progression system, and the changes made or lack thereof in the beginning of the game's lifespan to things like the karma system, and certain classes when they released. I'm looking at you, Musa. Those things and a few others initially drove me and I'm sure many others from the game, but it appears that Pearl Abyss is now rumored to be working on a new title that plans to incorporate things they've learned from BDO on. I've always said personally that if BDO took the combat and graphics of that game and put it into almost any other currently popular or subpopular MMO out there, we would have something capable of being called next generation. But if this is what Pearl Abyss is going for and they manage to pull it off without repeating the mistakes made in this title, I would 100% be ready to play it. The game's currently being branded as Project CD, and on top of that also being called an RPG right now. However, at the moment it's stated to be mainly aiming for console, with Pearl Abyss looking simultaneously at cross-platforms launching with PC. My response to that is that I hope they do, otherwise we might be getting another Bless Unleashed situation where we feel left in the dust, and hopefully it is an MMO. Granted, I would still play it anyway if my console was ready at the time, but still. There's no word on the schedule yet, but be sure to stay up to date on this one as well. And for the very last topic, we'll be going into Archeage. Just like Black Desert, it was a game with endless potential, yet fell short in one way or another. In Archeage's case, it would be mainly tied to the cash shop, but of course, like many games, there were also other issues with the game that ended up driving a lot of players, including myself, away. Well, now it appears they've got a new website with an anticipated announcement tomorrow that we have no idea about. Most feel it could be a non-pay-to-win version of Archeage or even a new title entirely like Archeage 2. This is one I'll definitely be following. If XL Games did decide to bring out another title for this game, it would definitely be something the MMO community needs to get some sort of hope for upcoming theme park MMORPGs again. That, and if Guild Wars 3 also got announced, I'm sure that would be another one capable of breaking the internet. But anyway, that's all that we have for now. All that's left is to wait and see what happens. We're going to have a long list this year about upcoming MMOs, that's for sure. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful night or day. And farewell.